What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here. I am now a Deck Out Gaming affiliate. Use Joe Dobbs Deck Out at checkout. Deck Out Gaming has tons of singles for Pokemon, Dragon Ball Super, and Digimon TCG, as well as One Piece. They now buy list as well, so don't hesitate to reach out, and they got your back. Really high customer service ratings. Thank you guys, and yeah, let's get to the video. What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here, back at it again with another video for you, and we had a lot of good feedback from you guys regarding our DarknessBagramon deck and my Rivals Hunters deck. Lichi pioneered the DarknessBagramon deck that you see on my channel, and we decided to put them together and kind of pin them together face to face, deck to deck, to see how both are played, because comments on both decks were kind of looking for gameplay. So I'm just going to do some commentary to kind of dive into this. And so I pull the Drakmon here, Digicrossing, so I can set up the Psychmon, draw next turn if I don't die, and also reveal 2 Tamers to draw 2 more cards. I didn't really want to hard play any of these Tamers yet because I didn't have materials to tuck for the following turn. And I did also have a Possumon, which is why I did that. But I think I whiffed this really badly. Yep. So unfortunately, the gamble did not work out, but that's fine. Now, Lichi here, his goal is to really set up DarknessBagramon and just be really good at controlling what I do and closing the game out with either Quartzmon or just a very wide Bagra army board to swing for all my security. That said, his deck is very sticky and very troublesome in the late game, which you will see later on. And yeah, so my turn ends here. I do survive the hit, and Taiki is played. So I go in a Yasyamon here, trying to see if I hit another Tamer from my hands, which I do. I do play the Ren here with the Yasyamon effect, and my Yasyamon is currently a 6k, which is very good. So Digivolves into the Psychmon, which is neat. Taiki and Yu actually have such a good synergy together. There's lots of draw and memory gains just from these 2 Tamers, especially when a Soundbird is on the field, or on, you know, just getting ready to go and raising. So I think it's pretty powerful. And I think he's just debating what play to make here, whether to hard drop something or just set up another Tamer. Because the more Yu's Lichi ends up bringing down, it actually becomes very troublesome with all the memory gains that's possible. So the Damimon cross here was amazing, got the free U, has not missed, which is awesome. So I trigger Ren here to add the Quartzmon underneath. This Quartzmon comes in clutch in the late game when I'm able to warp to it, and I give my Yasyamon an extra 2k DP, so that's an 8k swinging with the Psychmon getting to draw, and I just hit the Soundbird, which is nice. Going to swing with the Drak to get that draw off Monimon if it does die, and we see Lichi's Quartzmon, and I think the deck profile we've seen 2 to 3 Quartzmon, so 1 in trash is very good for me because I don't want to get counter Quartzmon, especially when my deck heavily revolves around the level 7 Digimon. Chohakaimon is really amazing, guys, and I showcase this card very well, I think, utilizing her over Astamon, which I do have in my hands, to once again facilitate the game's or the deck's win condition. So I want to keep controlling the board here until my pieces slowly come into the field, and then close out with an Astamon Quartzmon play. All the while, I'm also getting the chip, which I think is very, very helpful. And with accompanied by Ren and my DP boosts, I'm likely able to survive and prove to have a very sticky board state. So my Chohakaimon is also a blocker here thanks to the Chuchumon, and that becomes quite troublesome because I think in this turn he tries to swing with the Damemon, but is unable to do so. He does hit a Taiki, which is crazy. So yeah, has not missed at all. The Damemons are going crazy. So just as he is about to swing, he does notice my Chuchumon, and we do confirm that for him. And Lichi ends up, you know, holding off on that swing. So now he's in a point here where Chohakaimon is a complete threat. 4 Tamers on the field, only 1 Digimon. My Quartzmon could prove to be a problem if I had one in my hands. That said, I did put it under the Ren, so I'm not able to go into Quartz off the Chohakai for 9 memory. So suspending that Taiki ends up putting me to 2 here, going into the Omni Shout, and that is a very, very good turn because this actually deletes my Choha Kaimon and I'm back to square one, kind of like building a board state. And honestly, what I really love about Rival Hunters is you, funny enough, don't need much to get going. I've chipped 2 security, I've controlled the board enough to get where I need to be, which is pretty threatening here. I'm still at 5 security because of that board control through Chohakai, and Ren will just continue to add sources over time. So now I know I only have 1 Tamer out, but it really doesn't seem like a big deal at all in the Rival Hunters deck. I feel like if I have Iryu or Ren, I prefer Iryu, but in this situation, Ren does come in quite clutch because I'm able to add DP to the Digimon that swing, making them a lot stickier for when I, as I'm building a board state, they become more and more annoying. So I'm debating on what to do here, thinking, and I end up going into Chohakaimon for 2, suspending that Ren to add an Ikakimon. And this was a pretty good play, I'd say, because this took out the Omni Shoutmon. With 4 sources in my Digivolution sources, I'm able to reduce the DP of Omni Shout by 6k, and with Ikakimon under the Chohakai, I'm actually able to add another 2k DP when I attack. So I reduce overall the Omni Shout by 9k, and that is pretty neat. And I do put him to 1 because he triggers the Mad Leomon armed mode effect, trashing a Digivolution source. So as you can see, Chohakaimon really adds so much pressure, you guys, because this Chohakaimon was actually swinging for 9, 11, 13k here, which is insane. Like, you're gonna survive, which is pretty cool. And I did get the draw off the Psychmon as well. And Chohakaimon's turn effect is whenever DP on your opponent's Digimon is reduced to 0, you get to draw a card, and it is not once per turn, which is awesome. So I'm still in a very threatened position here with Lichi because his deck tends to be set up, late game, wide board, super threatening, tons of control where you gain a bunch of memory on your opponent's turn in one go, which is what really worries me. He does see the second Omni Shout here, which is very bad for me. And I know for a fact my Chohakaimon is going to be gone. And there it is in all its glory, the Omni Shoutmon. So if I'm not mistaken here, yup, the hard drop Troopmon setting me to 3 or what could be 1 with the Digicross off the Yu Amano, or the forced cross through Bagra Army, because they get forced into crossing evolution. So Troopmon does offer a bit of a problem here because I wanted to leave a Kakimon in Raising and play Psychmon. And I think I get punished for doing that, which is why I end up raising the Akakimon, going into the Ren to tuck. My Kakimon's 3k, which is neat. And then I go into Opossumon for 1, suspending the Ren to reduce the cost from 2 to 1, and then adding yet another Ikakimon. So when this Opossumon swings, I will in fact reduce the DP of Troopmon by 4k, or any of these Digimon by 4k. But I don't actually think I want to swing here. I believe the play that I go to is I just straight up hit Astamon and warp into Quartzmon, but we'll have to see what I do here. Yes, so I do commit to the Astamon play, and I can basically Digivolve into Quartzmon for a reduced cost of 3, so from 9 it'll be 6, putting him to 9, and then for every 2 Digimon when Digivolving, gain a memory that's suspended, or when they are suspended, so I do gain 3 back, putting him to 6. So now the ball is in his court. I'm like, okay, you gotta deal with this Quartzmon, because if not, it's gonna be swinging at you for 15 and potentially 17 with Ren, and reducing the DP by 6 on any of your Digimon as a result of my inheritables. So the Soundbird's gonna get to swing. I do get the Iru here, which is huge. The Soundbird doesn't die, so there's no extra memory gain and no tucking underneath the U Amano, which I think was a big deal in this turn. This became problematic because ultimately there's also one less source to cross with. So if you wanted to go into like DarknessBagramon or anything like that, it would cost an extra 2 instead of what could have been a reduced 2. So he does go into Bagramon here, DarknessBagra by a lot. I think he pays like 10 memory or something like that, to delete my Quartzmon, which is a very good play. And I'm in pretty much deep doo-doo. Look at that board state, guys. This is the Bagra deck that Lichi has pioneered and kind of built, and you see that in my YouTube videos. And yeah, very threatening position. I was able to get chip and damage in, but with his board state, this is a pretty big deal, a pretty big problem. Now, guys, just letting you know, the game is not over. This is still a very close game, funny enough. And DarknessBagramon's effect triggers when I Digivolve and when I attack, I believe. Which means my Tamers are safe from being bounced as long as I don't do either of those things. So I cross Dracmon to place 3 of my Tamers in my hand to the bottom and draw 3, and that's where it gets crazy. Dracmon is showcased very well in this video, I think, because usage of Dracmon when it's well timed allows you to generate better hands and outbrick yourself, which I did just there. I was actually gonna throw 4 Tamers, but it's a maximum of 3, so I kept the Watchmaker and I drew 3 for that reason. I think he does get rid of my Dracmon here because he just sees everything as a potential Astamon turbo threat into Quartz. So we'll have to see. So once again, my board state does not look threatening at all, you guys, but it's very strong. Like, this is still a board state that, depending on what I have in my hand, could win me the game and punish, like, beyond what people expect. So the rival hunters that can come out of nowhere and just be like, well, deal with this, you know? And if you don't deal with it, I get to swing and chip and win the game and control your board state. So he goes into another DarknessBagra, and this is basically a very scary board state. I mean, what can I say? We were both like chuckling at how enormous this board is in such a short amount of time, right? Like, and in addition to that, DarknessBagra adds even more sources from trash underneath him, which makes him super powerful. That forced cross, insane. Thematic, beautiful, and insane. So he just casually passes me 2 memory here, and I'm just like, okay, let's draw. We go into the Psychmon, and I think I don't have a choice here. What I actually do is, if I'm not mistaken, I Digivolve once and then play something else. Yes, because the situation now is I need to get into Astamon when I raise my Digimon. And Lichi does a very great job of putting me to 1. And I'm never going to get into Astamon that way. So I Jip Particle Cannon, which is basically like, here's 10 memory, do what you gotta do. And I think he's only got like 3 to 4 cards left in his deck. So as you guys can see, there's so much draw power and memory gain in the DarknessBagramon deck, but a well-timed Gypped Particle Cannon can change the tides, because now it doesn't matter what you do here. If you aren't winning this turn, I can go into Quartzmon and continue the punishment. So he decides to not raise the Soundbirdmon, and with good reason, right? Because he's anticipating that Quartzmon, and once that Quartzmon comes out, you know, everything's gonna be suspended. It's just even more fodder, more memory gain for me, which is pretty good. That said, pretty big deal here. Gets a wide board going. Hard drops the Astamon because there isn't really much of another play. You really can't draw here. Monimon will also allow for a draw, and he can't afford to be drawing cards right now, while Lichi kind of still is anticipating for that Quartzmon Evo. So he runs Quartzmon as well, so there is the opportunity to counter my Quartzmon, but I do have the DP boosts, and if you're unable to swing or trade with my Quartz, I can swing over yours very easily. So I trigger both the effects of Ren and Iru to add 2 sources to Asta, reducing the cost, and then here the big boy is Quartzmon. So we end up suspending everything, and I do gain 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. So I do gain what is, I believe, 5 memory back, putting him to 1, and then it's kind of like your go at 1, which is an absolute mess. And once again, like, this is a pretty big deal because my Tamers, they get bounced with DarknessBagramon's effect after I've done all of my turn priority stuff, right? So he does gain a ton of memory here and bounces all the Tamers back, which is pretty neat. He does prevent me from trashing 2 of his security when he swings next turn. When I swing next turn by taking all 4 of his Tamers back to his hand. But the problem with that is, once again, you don't have Tamers to be crossing with, and you have this really big hand that you could potentially be crossing with because you are Bagra Army, but you're unable to do so because you have no Tamers and you're reduced to 2 cards left in deck. So the calculation that Lichi's making here is, I can't give Quartzmon lethal, and that's not something that you want to think about in the first place, but I put Lichi in that situation because of a combination of Jip Particle Cannon and Quartzmon. So in my deck, I run 2 Jip Particle Cannons and 3 Quartzmon, and when you combine the 2, whether it's 2 Jip Particle, 1 Jip, 1 Quartz, 2 Jips, 2 Quartz, whatever, whether you do that, whatever combination, as long as you do them in succession, it starts to feel like Puppetmon, where you're suspending, can't unsuspend, suspending, can't unsuspend, and at that point, once you've dropped enough in succession, your opponent really can't do anything late game. So it really boils down to whether he has another out for this Quartzmon, because I have nothing on my board. But without an out, I'm pretty much pretty golden here. So my Quartzmon will attack, right, to draw 3 cards. So I end up drawing 3 cards from Astamon, Arrestordramon, and Psychmon when my Quartzmon swings. Now I could be a blocker here with the Chuchumon, but I opt against it. You know what? I need to draw that other Jip Particle Cannon in case I really need it. Like if I really need the Psychmon to swing for game or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I do. And I'm down to 4 cards left in deck. Very close game here. And this is why it's only a best of 1, because this game was like 17 minutes. Which isn't that long in retrospect, because it's like a 45-50 minute like per round, right? So game 1 wasn't even that long. It's just I don't want to make like a 20-minute video, or well, I do want to make a 20-minute video. What I don't want to make is like a 50-minute video on how this kind of transpired, right? So here we are. And yeah, pretty good spot. I think I just dropped the Clockmon, setting him to 3 memory here, and I do grab Astamon and Chuchumon, and I do have a level 4 in hand, so if I need to go into Psychmon again, I can, but that said, I have no Tamers, so I'm in trouble. So the Taiki drop into the Quartz here, draws his last card, and he just plays it out at this point, because in the combination of Quartz and Jip Particle Cannon, it's really hard to counter, and I don't think he has another DarknessBagramon to delete my Quartzmon, right? So if you can't delete my Quartzmon, it becomes a very big problem, and at that point, that ends up being GG. So Lichi does end up conceding there, and I do end up having 3 swings anyway. My play, if he still had another out, actually, was to play another Jip Particle Cannon, and that would have suspended everything, and at that point, he would have decked out, drawing his last card. So the 3 draws actually got me that second Jip Particle Cannon, and that would have been game if I really had no other way to secure victory here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked the gameplay of both decks. I think both decks were showcased quite well. Have a good one. Bye.